All right, so I'm going to ask Joe, tee this up. What was the significance of the death of Superman?
I mean, it's Superman. That's really the significance of it.
All right, good night, everybody. Thanks, Joe.
No, it was something that had never been done before. Superman had never, met his match in the way that he did in fighting Doomsday during that story. It was the story of how they got there is sort of funny. It was originally planned Superman 75 was to be the wedding of Clark and Lois, but they had a TV show that was all centered around their relationship, and so they decided to hold off on it, and they sort of just offhandedly were like, well, what if we kill him? And the death of Superman was born. It is a knockdown, drag-out fight between Superman and Doomsday. Sort of functions as a meta commentary a little bit on the violence in comics, in other non-DC comics at the time. Yeah, it was, people say it just, the execs say it hit on a slow news day and everybody caught on to it and it became a huge thing.
All right, so here's the thing that I recall. At the time, word was 6 million copies were sold, potentially more, and potentially one of the highest selling comics of all time. And also the thing that led to the eventual decline of the speculator boom. That was the apogee. That means the top point.
Oh.
Yeah. Right.
Like on a triangle.
Love a triangle. So I'm going to ask my journalists to give us a little bit of context. What was the significance industry-wise of the death of Superman?
I mean, you're absolutely right. It was, at the time, the best-selling comic of all time. I believe it overtook X-Men #1, the original Jim Lee one at that point. As far as it being the sort of precursor to the decline of the speculator market, I don't know as much about that, to be completely honest, but I would imagine just everybody was buying the death of Superman. I know people who have never touched a comic in their life and who are like, oh yeah, I had the death of Superman issue, whether it was in the bag or one of the 5 printings of the main version of it. I worked at a comic shop for a long time in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it was, there was always at least once a month somebody who came in with, oh yeah, I have the death of Superman. How much money is that worth? I don't know, $10 maybe?
At the moment, when it came out, it was probably worth a lot, but now
it was, yeah.
For what we know, Death of Superman was huge. There was a gigantic lead up to this. They took all of the Superman titles, converged upon it, and all of them drove to the eventual final issue, the black-bagged Superman #75. And I don't know if it was the first time we'd ever seen this, but it sure was the most heartfelt and most impactful, Mike, where they did the entire issue all in splash pages.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
a fun thing about that story is each successive issue leading up to it is 1 panel fewer. So the issue before this, each page is 2 panels.
This is why we hired
this guy.
This is why we hired this guy.
Yeah. It's really neat the way that it progresses, especially when you read it in graphic.
That was what I'm supposed to do.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool that it led up like that. They kept taking a panel away. That's really
that's something to remember.
That's impressive. Here we are, we're in the streets directly in front of Daily Planet. He is toe to toe, faced off, and in these panels, he's dictating that he's not going to be able to destroy Doomsday. He might die. But what I loved in the next few pages is it was all reaction shots. It was Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. It was
Mom,
Pa Kent, and then just the heroes. So we got the sequence where we see them fighting pretty closely matched. Then we see the reactions. This 2-page sequence is just absolutely perfect. Joe, were they both spreads?
The image that's showing right there was inside the back cover. And so the previous page was a spread between the last page of the issue and the back cover, and then you folded out the back cover to get a 3-page basically spread of the heroes and then Superman having died.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I don't know what the takeaway is or the consensus is from the panel of people who are smarter than me, but what would we say is the takeaway from the death of Superman? One can consider the biggest pop culture event of, what was it, 1995?
It was 1992.
What does my panel say? What is the big takeaway from this? What can we learn?
I think the main thing that you would take away from that is that it really raised the stakes for Superman and for the rest of the DC universe.
Even though they killed Superman, everybody had to know he wasn't going to stay dead.
Who knew? No, but
everyone knew. You're not going to just completely kill Superman.
As a 9-year-old reader, I thought Superman was gone, and they stopped all the Superman titles for a few months, and that was seismic to me.
Where you run into the comic shop every month.
Where's my new Superman? There's no new Superman this week.
I mean, that's a huge. That's an impact. I mean, Superman is. You don't think of him as being mortal in that sense. Like
absolutely.
So I think that's the biggest thing about that is that it does, like you said, raise the stakes, because if Superman can get killed, what does that mean for the rest of us?
That's a good point. If Superman can get killed, and then who can't Doomsday kill?
Right. That makes him more terrifying, because if he can take down Superman like that and so brutally, like what does that mean for the rest of them? You know.
All right, that's good. All right, we're gonna say that we raised the stakes. To be fair, that is a good one.